In this episode, we talk about multi-sport athletes, ODP versus academy, and my mom understanding offsides. What's up, everybody? This is Ray Sanders, and this is episode number 5 of Coach Knows Best. So we are back at it. We missed a week, Caesar. You've been slacking. We've just been really busy. We had the Thanksgiving tournament, or the Thanksgiving weekend. We had tryouts that were coming up. We had all kinds of different things that were going on. So I know that my entire fan base of 4 people, they've been texting me daily saying, when's the next episode coming out? So we're filming this. We want to get this out to you by this Wednesday. I'm going to Disneyland tomorrow. I'm super excited to go see Mickey and Minnie. We're going to go to Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. Can't wait for that. Caesar needs another haircut. I think that's really it. So outside of that, let's rock and roll, Caesar.
What is the difference between academy, club, and ODP?
So I just did about a 5-minute spiel on what it was, and Caesar brought something up, and it threw me off to the point now where I'm redoing this whole entire part. So the difference between the three. First, let's talk about ODP. ODP stands for Olympic Development Program. It was things change, right? So like as an example, my mom and dad, my mom specifically, she was like anti-cell phones until like 5 years ago, or maybe like 2 years ago. She finally got a cell phone. So, you know, I think about like how people like, oh, I don't like Amazon, I don't want to shop online. Like things change, things evolve. So it's interesting because in the soccer world, I get really frustrated when I try to talk to parents or even coaches who, you know, they're former players that now they're coaching, and it's like, well, when I was a kid, this was the program that you used to do. And that's all good and fine and dandy, but at the end of the day now, in today's day and age, ODP is not what it was when I was a kid. When I was a kid, ODP, especially in Southern California, was literally just the surefire way to be able to get a scholarship to college. If you made the ODP team, you were for sure going to college. Now, the problem is that ODP is not what it used to be. Back then, if you made the ODP state team, you would go and try out for the ODP regional team. Then you would go and try out for the ODP national team, which was ultimately scouted by U.S. national team staff. So that was how kids would eventually make the 15s, the 16s, the 17s U.S. national teams. So again, so if you made even your state team, especially in Southern California, then it was great. Now it's a little bit different because if you play academy, which I'll talk about in a second, if you play academy, then you're not allowed to do ODP. So if there's 150 kids in your age group that are in the academy, that's 150 kids that are already not going to be on the ODP team, which in theory is better because maybe it gives your child who's a non-academy player an opportunity to be able to go make the ODP team. However, that also means that the program itself is devalued and watered down even if your kid made it, to be perfectly honest. So it is good, but it doesn't have the prestige that it used to have. The other thing is that I don't like about ODP these days is that it has no end in mind. Meaning if you make the state team and even the regional team, pretty much that's where it stops these days, is right at the regional team. There is no national ODP, and then U.S. national team scouts really aren't recruiting or scouting that much, if at all, at the regional level, and nearly nothing at the state level. Now, that being said, everybody likes to be desired. Everybody likes to get recruited for something, so it feels good. I think that the problem is that because it feels good, my kid got called into ODP, and I'm going to put it on Brown Cow Soccer, and all these different things. I think that what ends up happening is that ODP I don't want to say takes advantage of that, but they recognize that. You have to pay $100 to $150 to try out. Then if you make that, they cut it down to a roster. I think there's usually about 60 to 100 kids that get called in. They cut that down to about 18 to 36, depending on if they have 1 or 2 teams. You have to pay for that if you make the team. Then if you go on to the next level, you've got to pay for the tournaments and all the different stuff that they do on top of your normal club team that you're on. So if you have the money, if you have the time, if you have the resources, I think it's a nice little thing to put on your resume that you made the ODP team. But if you talk to 9 out of 10 college coaches, especially at the Division I level, they're not going to look at that with that much significance. It might be a little bit of noise for them to have their interest piqued. But outside of that, it's no good. Or I mean, it's not that it's no good. It's just not what it maybe it used to be. So the evolution of things. Then there's academy. So what academy is basically it was started to be in a way the antithesis of ODP, because the money that's involved with ODP. What ended up happening is the academy program was created because a lot of kids were not getting recognized in ODP because they didn't have the money. So our best players, in theory, were not playing for the U.S. national team.
I don't understand offsides. Can you explain it to me?
No, I cannot. My mom, since I was a little kid, like 5 years old, I'm 36. I started playing soccer when I was 4, actually. My mom, to this day, does not understand offsides. I love my mom dearly. Mom, you're probably not watching this, but if you are, I love you dearly. She literally still doesn't understand offsides. So I'm not going to get a whiteboard and explain it. Just try your best.
How do you feel about multi-sport athletes versus 100% committed soccer players?
So I think that right before the car became famous, some dude bought like 1,000 horses and he got screwed, is basically the way that I feel. Now, what does that mean? I think it's similar to the ODP versus Academy scenario. I think it's similar to, let's say, Nomads versus November Nights scenario of Thanksgiving. Some of you know what that reference is about. I think you have to evolve or die. Now, there's a lot of articles that are out there today about, first of all, about people or kids who are getting hurt because they're only doing one sport. So I'll address that a little bit. There's a lot of people who are not experts who are speaking about this, and they're talking about the way that it was in their day and age. In my day and age, we played 3 sports during high school and on and on. I think also lastly that I'll talk about a little bit is that there's also a lot of people who will point to one scenario and say this person did these 2 sports and they ended up making it, and on and on. So speaking about all of that collectively, a lot of these articles I think it should be taken into consideration. I think that we should look at these types of things and say, okay, why is a 9-year-old tearing their ACL in today's day and age versus, like, let's say 20 or 30 years ago, they weren't? Do I think that kids should play multiple sports, have some type of cross training, have some type of, I do soccer as my main gig, but I'm going to do cross country as well or something like that? Do I see a problem with that? I actually don't. I think that the problem is that when we look at these articles about overuse and on it goes, sometimes there's other things that aren't taken into consideration, which is what is the marketplace dictating? And if the marketplace is dictating that, then how do I overcome that? Meaning, if the marketplace right now is basically saying that there's a 2008 kid that is out there that is doing nothing but soccer essentially, and he or she is going to end up on the U.S. national team, how do I do that if my kid is going to do soccer and baseball and volleyball and cheerleading and track and all of these other types of activities? How do you overcome that? I'm not saying that a kid should only do soccer. I think that there is value in doing some type of cross training, developing other types of muscles. I think in our community there are some good things that are out there, like A3 or Coombs and Fitness or Car Elite are the 3 that are the most popular. I think that type of cross training is good. I think doing one other sport is also good. But if your main thing is soccer, if the stake is soccer, then you need to focus on that steak. It needs to have taste, sizzle. It needs to have all the components that make a steak great. Do you want to add a salad? Do you want to add this to complement the steak? Do you want to add a little A1? I'm going to do a little A3 training or Coombs and Fitness. Sure, do that type of stuff. But the problem is this idea of I'm going to have equal portions amongst the 3. I'm going to do 3 sports and I'm going to end up making it. It's just not going to work in today's day and age. The kid who ends up playing in the NBA, or the 20 kids that end up playing in the NBA, 19 of them only did basketball, right? The 20 kids that end up in the MLS, the 20 kids that end up on the national team, they're only going to probably do soccer. They might do cross country, they might do volleyball, they might do some secondary things, but you have to be dedicated to your craft. Ordinary things, you're going to have to do it. And I do not like to hear about the anomaly stories about the guy who started playing soccer at 14 and then now he's playing at UCLA and scored the winning goal. To me, that's like, well, there's this guy that I know who ate nothing but donuts every day and he just went on a run every night and he has a 6-pack, or some silly scenario like that. Those are anomalies. Those things don't actually work. If we look at the data, if you look at the common denominator, 1,000 soccer players that end up playing at the highest levels across the country, I don't know what the actual number is, but more often than not, you're going to find their main gig with soccer. So do I have a problem with it? No. As they get older, they should become more specialized into just one sport and always have some secondary things in order to develop their muscles. But that's not necessarily always doing another sport. That's sometimes doing something like 83. All right, guys and gals, so that's it. Episode 5 in the books. If you have any questions, let us know. We are kind of getting the same types of questions over and over again. So the most unique questions that you guys can think of, just let us know. We'll answer anything that you guys want to hear. Something that I want to know from you guys is next week, episode 6, we're going to have a special guest. I don't know who it'll be, but we'll ask. It has to be somebody from our community, so don't give me any stupid answers. But leave in the comments or text me or email me or whatever it is that you have. Let me know who it is that you'd like to see as far as a guest. Maybe somebody in the community. My personal vote is for Brown Cow. So Brown Cow, I'm calling you out. I want to see you on the show. Or maybe one of the college coaches in the community. Maybe a coach from another club. Dude, I'm down. I'm crazy. We'll bring in somebody else from another club. Maybe some kid in the community that you'd like to interview. Anybody. I don't care. Whatever it is that you guys think, let me know in the comments or text me or call me. We'll invite them in. We'll ask them a bunch of questions, and then we'll go from there. Outside of that, please email me, ray7sanders@gmail.com. That's Ray7, Sanders like the Colonel, @imag.com. Until next time, peace out.